Organisms undergo many changes as they grow in age. A newborn child is small, weak, and incapable of taking care of itself. The child is dependent on others, even for the very basic needs like food and movement. So, at this time, the main aim of the body is to make itself bigger and stronger. This phase of our body is known as juvenile phase. In this period of life, the primary focus is on growing body parts to become bigger and stronger. But this stops somewhere around teenage. Height doesn't increase much around this stage. At this stage, the priorities of our body change. This is the stage of life when human body begins to prepare for reproduction. Some key changes are required to prepare the body for this phase. Let's see what these changes are. The body begins to make special cells required for reproduction. These cells are known as gametes. There are changes in the hormonal levels of body. Body undergoes changes to develop a set of characters known as secondary sexual characters. These characters are different for the male and the female. Now, the time of life between juvenile phase and adulthood is known as puberty. Some of the changes that occur in the body of adolescents are directly related to reproduction, that prepare the body for reproduction. Some changes result from effect of hormones. So these are some of the secondary sexual characters. Some of these changes are common for male and female, but most are unique to either of the sexes, that is male or female. The male reproductive system consists of two groups of organs. The organ that produces gametes is known as the primary sex organs. In human males, this is testis. The remaining organs are involved in the movement of gametes and its delivery to the site of fertilization. These are the secondary sex organs. They include the accessory ducts, the glands, and the external genitalia. Now let's study these parts one by one. Testes are the gonads in male. Gonad is the organ which will produce gametes. Here, the male gamete or sperm is produced by testes. Testes also produce testosterone. These are the hormones that control the production of sperm and the development of secondary sexual characters at the time of puberty. Now, the optimum temperature required for sperm development is approximately 33 degrees Celsius, while our body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So, testes need to be outside the male body to maintain a lower temperature for successful sperm production. The testes are therefore contained in a sac known as scrotum. The sperms come out of testes and enter the tube that is known as vasa deferens. This unites with another tube coming from the urinary bladder. Now you know that urethra comes from the urinary bladder. So urethra becomes the common tube carrying both urine and sperms in males. So in males, this is known as the urinogenital tract. Now as the sperm passes through the vasa deferens, there are glands which add their secretion to it. These are the prostrate glands and the seminal vesicle. These glands add secretions which lubricate and provide nutrition to the sperms. What you see here are the organs of the female reproductive system. This includes a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviducts, also known as the fallopian tube, and some accessory ducts. Now, ovaries are the primary sex organs. They produce female gametes or the ovum and several steroid hormones or the ovarian hormones. You just studied that in males, sperm production starts at puberty. But in females, the condition is different. When a girl is born, her ovaries already contain the ovum, thousands of them. You can see the picture. It is inside of the ovary. A number of ova are visible inside, but these are not yet mature. The mature ova will be produced only when they are about to be released, one at a time. That is at puberty. Now, when the egg is released from ovary, it reaches in the fallopian tube where it will be fertilized if the sperm is available. The sperm introduced into the female swim up to the cervix, enter uterus and finally reach the fallopian tube. The introduction of sperms is also known as insemination. As soon as the ovum is released, the uterus forms a thick lining of blood inside it. In humans, one ovum is released in a month, so every month uterus gets ready to receive the zygote by forming this thick lining of blood vessels. Just like a mother bird prepares a nest before laying eggs. Only here the nest is inside the mother's body in the uterus. When the dividing zygote reaches the uterus, it forms a special tissue known as placenta. Now, what is placenta? Placenta is contributed by both mother's body and the fetus, that is the developing embryo. It is a disc-shaped structure. It has mother's tissue forming blood vessels, and then the fetus tissue is forming finger-like projections which are known as villi. So, placenta comprises of partially mother's tissue and partially fetus tissue. The villi formed by the fetus are surrounded by the blood vessels contributed by the mother. Now, what is the purpose of placenta? Placenta provides for nutrition, respiration and excretion, etc. for the embryo. So, for fertilization, ovum is released and uterus lining is thickened. But what if fertilization does not take place? Now, the ovum and the uterus lining will have to be shed and discarded. So, in human beings, this lining is shed and as a result, blood and mucus is released, and this process is known as menstruation. Since one ovum is released every month, this vaginal bleeding too occurs once every month and continues for 5 to 8 days. The beginning of menstruation in females is known as menarche. It marks the beginning of puberty. The end of menstruation is known as menopause, and it marks the end of fertility period. Reproduction is a critical process for survival of species, and in animals, sexual reproduction is an elaborate process involving many preparations. In last century, health services and medical technology has improved a lot. Death rate has gone down, chances of survival of mother and newborn child has increased. This has led to high population growth or population explosion. In order to tackle this problem, following 3 things are required. Now, what is reproductive health? Keeping yourself fit in general, but taking care of health and hygiene of reproductive organs, protecting oneself from infectious diseases, which are sexually transmitted. These are gonorrhea and syphilis, which are bacterial diseases, and AIDS and warts, which are viral diseases. Now, what are contraceptive methods? These are used to avoid fertilization and therefore pregnancy. Contraceptive methods are very important for controlling population explosion. These work on the basic premise that sperm should not be allowed to reach ovum. Now, they can be broadly classified into two groups, temporary and permanent. Temporary can be done through mechanical barriers such as condoms or through chemicals by using IUDs. Some hormonal pills are also used to ensure that ovum is not released. These methods are temporary, and when a couple wants to bear children, they can stop using these methods. Then there are surgical methods where fallopian tube of females or the vas deferens of males are surgically cut and blocked. These are permanent method. For women, this is known as tubectomy, and for men, it is known as vasectomy. Now with this, we come to the end of your session and the end of this lesson. These are your questions. Solve them. Let me know if there are any doubts. Happy learning. Thank you.